Let's talk a little bit, one more thing that is very important to understand, but not a lot of people take that like that, which is the exit strategy. It's not just, we're buying a house, it's nice, we're thinking about everything towards the way, especially as an investment, but always thinking about the way we're going to exit this property, because most of the times you're going to sell this property and not, live towards your life in one property. Not a lot of people do that today. So what are people should know about the exit strategy before they buy a property?
See, first you need to understand the exit strategy is not only for an investor. The exit strategy is for everyone. Whether you're buying a house for your personal use, you need an exit strategy. Because once you have lived in a house for at least 10, 12 years, you get used to that house, okay? And you get bored from that house. You need a change to improve your lifestyle. So an end user need an exit strategy, not because the house is breaking down, just because he wants to improve his lifestyle, just because his kids have grown up. Do you get my point? Investors only look at an exit strategy from a perspective of financial perspective, whereas end user looks at an exit strategy from a perspective of who would be my next client, or how would I actually utilize this in my asset portfolio when I have grown 10 years from now, and how would the world would be there, and what would be the demand of the property will be there. So when you look at an investor perspective of exit strategy, and he's buying let's say under construction first time from the developer, in that point it is very easy to understand and educate your client that when is the peak performance of the property comes in. And the peak performance, you'll be surprised, the property comes multiple times. For example, when you have bought a property from developer and you are actually paying their installments till handover, there's a point when most of the properties are paid and the bank comes in for mortgage. That's one peak point, which a lot of realtors don't talk about. And it's important to educate the client that, hey, for any reason, if you want to sell it, that is when you can sell it, because that is when you will make a profit out of it. That is when the number of clients will increase in terms of the buyers, because the bank is financing an under construction property. So keep that point in your mind if you want to go this path. Same thing goes with the end user. When you're looking into it and you say, well, 10 years from now, 8 years from now, your kids are going to grow up. This house you're living in, your 3 kids, husband and wife, it might become short for you. It might become small for you, or your lifestyle will change, or the kids will grow. They would not want to be living in a house like this. Or when the kids would grow, you will see that they are more into their rooms and you want to bring your family back together. When that sort of a decision point comes in and you're explaining that particular moment in the life ahead, you can say that's the time either you can look at reselling this property, or you can look at renting this property. But before renting, do a basic refurbishment, because every tenant likes a brand new property.
Definitely. And it also helps a lot in the selling. I want to ask you, because most of the buyers that come to you probably say, hey, Kunal, get me, I want this and this and that, find me the property. But some clients like to come to you with things that already saw. They come to you and say, hey, I checked, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, I liked all of them. What do you think? You ever get those kind of interactions with clients?
Yeah, many times we get interactions where people come with a full list of properties and they says, I've seen this. I'll give you a live example. Okay. It's not one of the most premium properties, but in Meadows, one of the client came across and he says, Kunal, I've seen this. See, this is one of the cheapest properties out there. It's facing the JLT. It's very open. I don't have a neighbor behind me and it's great. And I've seen this property in this Meadows. I've seen this property in this Meadows. I've seen this property in this Meadows. It's very normal. And from there, the best part is that if you are a specialist, if you understand that particular community better, then you can guide them. And actually I did. They explained to that client that, listen, yes, your property is overlooking the JLT skyline and there's nobody behind you, but there was a new entire highway constructed there. You can buy this property. It's one of the best priced property, but remember that there will always be a humming sound of the traffic. And once they were digging that road, it has definitely, interrupted into the infrastructure or the boundary line of your house. So think again. Then another client came up and says, "Oh, I love this villa. I know, it's an independent villa. It's one of the, again, very economical one. It's overlooking the lake, and I can go from right, I can go from left, and there are multiple ways to enter." So I was explaining him, you're buying an asset which is an independent villa category asset. If that community has independent villa and townhouses and the entrances are the same, you have to keep in mind that that property will appreciate at a lesser value. It's not me. It's because you are combining two different set of human beings with two different choices. When a clash happens, that's when the growth reduces. So when you are entering into a property and when somebody generally comes across with such lists, a realtor's responsibility is to analyze these deep thought processes as well as these deep indicators and then educate the client. And once you do that, client is yours forever.
Definitely. I want to hear, a little bit more from your experience about the most unforgettable deal that you've had. You had to tell me this story.
Okay. See, the deal wasn't unforgettable because of the value. The deal was actually unforgettable because what it brought later. So there was a gentleman who came to me from US, okay, and it was not now. It was almost, I would say, 8 to 10 years back. He came in, he was just like another client. He came in actually through one of the portal leads and he was just asking me about different properties. And he came in on an investment property. You'll be surprised. He came in on one of the properties in downtown and I was just explaining him. And he was like, no, at this time I want to buy just a 1-bedroom. I want to, get an investment property. And I explained to him that, okay, how the entire downtown is created, how most of the 90% of the Emaar buildings, the 1-bedroom faces the backside, it doesn't faces the fountain. So that's when the conversation started. You won't believe. Eventually, we know as realtor, there are a couple of buildings, actually only 3 buildings where you can get a 1-bedroom, full fountain facing, full Burj Khalifa facing. And I explained him and I showed him that. Because I did that transaction with him and because I was able to explain that community from an expert perspective, deep down, you won't believe he bought 18 properties from me after that. And his only one reason was, Kunal, I haven't seen a person who knows an area so in deep that you can guide me through. And then I can pick up my assets and I can create my portfolio. So seriously, never look at a client and never look at a buyer saying that, oh, he's just coming for a small investor. Because investor tests you. And when you pass that test, that's when they open up.